Welcome to the Remodeler Success Podcast, a show created to inspire kitchen and bath industry professionals to achieve optimal success in their remodeling business. Your host, Dennis Oz, is the author of the book, Remodel Your Digital Marketing, an integrated online marketing guide for kitchen and bath remodelers. He's also the founder of RTA Marketing, a pioneer digital marketing agency for the remodeling industry. On each episode, Dennis will sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they learned, and how to find success in remodeling.
Welcome back to the Remodeler Success Podcast, where we dig into the real systems behind profitable design and build and construction companies and kitchen and bath remodelers. Today, we are in Chicago area, and the clients are really savvy, tastes shifts really fast, and text really keeps reshaping how ideas become spaces in that area. So today, my guest, look, as a follower of Remodel Success Podcast, we know that we are bringing you pioneer people. And today's guest, the lead of an interior design firm founded back in 2000s. And with the 30 years in the residential work area, we are bringing you all this knowledge and also all this experience. She's known for her really emotional driven and highly personal interiors, and with also a lot of featuring in Chicago Tribune magazine, even Kitchen and Bath Design News, and even HGTV. And also she's also a speaker at our industry events like design and build conferences nationwide. That's why that makes this session super important for us. Please welcome to the show Rebecca Pogonis. Rebecca, welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you for that nice intro. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you, Dennis.
Of course. Rebecca, I know that I was looking at your background last week. I was just seeing the amazing things that you do for the industry. But for those who doesn't really know you, how did you introduce yourself?
You all know my name, Rebecca Pogonitz of GoGo Design Group. And I always introduce myself as I am a soul nourishing interior designer whose mission is to create homes that foster emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. That really is my mission. And throughout the years, I have been on quite a journey developing this mission, and it just keeps on going higher and higher and higher. So it's a really exciting time to be an interior designer.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us today. Let me start with my first question. You're running your business for decades now, and I'm sure that you've seen trends and client expectations also change, even technology evolved, right? What's really helped you to stay adaptable and keep your company, GoGo Design Group, growing through all these changes?
Well, it's interesting that you say that because when I graduated in design school in 1998, I had 2 CAD courses. So my first job, I was hand drawing. And then people were doing CADs, especially more architectural firms and some design firms. But the designer I worked with, it was all hand drawing. And so the way my life pivoted, I was raising babies and everything. I never got proficient on CAD and was drawing by hand. And so, yes, I had to adapt. So as I grew my business, I had to get savvy. So I hired someone to do my drawings. And so stop beating myself up for not knowing how. And I just adapt that way with turning to people that are doing what they love and have the skills to what they're doing. And that you're as strong as your weakest link. So I'd say that's how I've adapted.
Yeah, that's right. And the weakest link is something that we have to look at even more closely when we are looking at our systems and processes. That's perfectly right. And thank you so much for sharing this. Rebecca, let me ask you this. Your business is, when you look at your portfolio and everything, you have that emotional touch in your portfolio, and it's deeply personal.
Thank you.
And yeah, of course, most of the designers and some of the business owners among us, maybe they have a team of designers, they cannot really go that much of success when they're trying to do this. So my question to you is, how do you really balance these creative expression with also the systems and structure needed to run a successful firm? How do you balance those two things?
Well, knowledge is power. So the way I've balanced it throughout the years is as I've learned about myself as a designer and having the confidence in myself, I've had to do a lot of learning. And I've had business coaches. I've been to seminars and had gotten additional education. And so systems and process is also, when you're a growing business or interior design business, that's always evolving, right, with the technology and everything. And as you learn more and more about how to effectively run a business, that's always going to be evolving. And sometimes you have to make some changes. For instance, before COVID, I was on a software management program called Studio Designer, and COVID hit, panicked, got rid of my subscription, joined another designer. And when I came back, I had to figure out, okay, now what do I do? Right. So I took my time though. And that actually is another key to adapting, is take your time and really figure out where you are in your business and how you can accommodate it with the budget and everything. And it took me 4 years, and I landed on another software management program. And it's just constantly adapting. And I'm always trying and integrating other systems. And, I'm coming up with a project management system that software program doesn't offer me. So it's always about just learning, talking to other industry professionals and hearing what works for them, and applying that, and trial and error. But above all, be patient with yourself and have grace for yourself, because as an entrepreneur, every day is a learning process. And honestly, you can't grow as an entrepreneur if you're not learning every day. So to answer your question, balancing is really, I think, is learning. I balance it in with learning more about how it would fit my business model, because with the economy and everything, and trying to strategize cash flow and filling the pipeline, some things aren't going to work, or you simply can't afford those things, or it's a balancing act, just what you're saying,
Yeah.
So I say learning and knowledge is power. That's where the balance comes in.
This is amazing to hear, and thanks so much for sharing this, because we have designers tuning in. They're trying to, of course, they're trying to learn. And folks, you will see Rebecca's portfolio, and if you just have a little bit of a research about her, you will see how she goes in like in really emotional and like a personal, like that's a big opportunity for you guys too, when you are turning prospects into customers, because when you have this really personal level, this is what your clients really like. And if you get really good at it, trust me, you're going to create your referral base in your area much quicker than others. So this is very important, Rebecca, and thank you so much for sharing this one. And let's talk about, well, today's session is designed to talk about in different functions in the business. Of course, we'll be talking about marketing sometimes, and we also be talking about operations. But this time I would like to talk about a little more in HR, human resource, because hiring and also managing teams is something. And when you grow your business, of course, I'm sure that you had shift from like really doing everything yourself to leading others. And right at that point, what have you really learned about managing a team? Or let me ask you this, what's really helped you to delegate without losing this creative control?
Well, when you're scaling a business, and the most economical way to do it is to hire a subcontractor. They're called, in our language, 1099ers, And so building my team is from a different angle, because they're all working independently for other people too, and I'm one of their clients. So in terms of managing the team, it's sharing them, empowering them with what I'm learning about my business, and giving them, really, because they're also entrepreneurs in a way, giving them the autonomy to step up to the plate, and me having the patience for them to honor their scheduling. And so it's been a little bit of an unusual process in terms of scaling my business, in terms of, I don't have a group of employees and an HR department, but I lead whenever I can, just by sharing what I'm learning about, and as I'm getting empowered. And I do also want to work with others who have the same mindset as me. That's what I look for. So I don't know if that answered your question, Dennis, but
of course. It is. Yeah.
If that makes sense. But it really, over the years, it's just been selecting the right subcontractors who are aligned with my values and are willing to grow and learn themselves.
Sometimes it's
That's
hard,
who I
right?
want on my team, someone who has that spirit.
Yeah, can we say you have to be really careful when you're just picking your subcontractors for a project? Is that a struggle or is that something really easy for you? What do you think about that process?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Yeah.
Subcontractors, I'm talking about the subcontracting, like you're subcontracting, the works needs to be done. I just wanted to learn a little more about that process. Is it something that you do
Sure.
with the networking, or is it something easy for you because you have a lot of people
Oh,
that you know? How do you handle the game?
yes, you mentioned the magic word, networking. And that also goes back to the other magic word, adapting and relationship building and the balancing. Without networking and relationship building and relying on others and surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you, who want to mentor and support and believe in you along the way. That's how I do it, right? So it's through recommendations. So for instance, a woman who's been working with me as a subcontractor now for 7 years, we're growing up together initially. And I found her through a contact that I networked with. She was a recruiter and she had contacted her. And we also just ask each other. Designers ask other designers, do you know of anyone who needs a job? I've worked with designers we've shared part-time basis, subcontractor. So it's all about the relationship building.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
that's really what built my business. I have to tell you, I attribute that all to my business growth. It's so
wow.
important.
Wow. And I believe you mentioned a very important thing for our listeners today. Just like you said, you have to surround yourself with people smarter than you. For
Hmm.
Rebecca, I believe this is something that we have to comment a little bit for all our listeners who is tuning in today because, well, folks, you can find these people in networking events. So try to be active in your chapters when you just join. It could be NKBA, it could be anything like NHAB, like your group, because try to get people together. And the networking part, just like Rebecca mentioned, is very important. And you will find people who already made the same mistakes. And you don't need to walk just like they did in the past. So that's why, Rebecca, thank you so much. That was really important. I believe I just wanted to open a little bit parentheses before my next question to be able to kind of
Sure.
give our listeners a little more context about it. And
Mhm.
thank you so much. Thank you. Let's talk about the estimating and the proposals and those kind of things that we do. Well, there are two things when you're talking to your prospect. At the end of the deal, they have to be happy. We have to be happy. We have to be happy by the profits, and they have to be happy with of course, with the results after the project is done. And
Mhm.
the balance that you're talking about, it has to be right there as well. So and we know that a lot of our people in our professionals in our industry, they struggle with those estimating and pricing or managing
Mhm.
client expectations. So my question is to you, what systems or like mindset or habits have helped you keep projects profitable and also at the same time clients happy?
Well, I would say the most important thing is how you value yourself and how you feel about yourself and your self-esteem and because that's going to come across and knowing your worth. And that's actually the biggest lesson I've learned throughout the years as my rates have gone up and the kinds of projects I take up go up and in value. But in terms of how you start, starting out, I had no idea what I was doing. I charged a straight hourly rate. I didn't even have a contract. um, and then as I started to learn and grow, I realized, okay, depending on the size of the project, let's try this out. Let's try a flat fee. And of course, I was completely giving away so much time and undercharging for that, but I didn't know better, right? And then it's just going back and forth. And then okay, I have to pay the bills, so I'll just take this one-off consult, and so it's moving parts. And I can say for me, it's like this. It's just what's going to work for me.
Roller coaster ride, right?
As I'm personally developing, I'm professionally developing. So right now I can tell you where I'm at. and it's on my website. I offer packages of hours. It's a minimum of 10 hours at my hourly rate. And the client is able to do whatever they want to do with those hours. If they want to go shopping and ask my opinion, if they need a room layout, and this way it's a way to instill trust in case they want to move to a larger project, or they're thinking of renovating their house, but they want to feel trustworthy. And that is the most important thing. And you kind of touched on that before, is the most important thing is that we trust each other, but the client trusts me. So otherwise they won't want to work with me. And that's why, and you kept on mentioning the personal. And so I'm a very authentic person. I'm transparent. I'm transparent about my pricing. I'm transparent about my markup. And even though it's in my contract, I say it up front at the first meeting. And another thing I always say is, if you have any kind of concerns or discomfort and don't feel you're getting the value you're getting from this process, I need you to speak up. I've got a thick skin, and the way we're going to have the best experience is if we talk it out. And I have these kind of direct conversations with my clients, so I empower them, and knowing that that I'm a safety island for them. We'll figure out how we're going to pay for the job. I say this in the first, as long as it's a 10-hour minimum, because that's my business model. So we figure it out together. I adapt. And that's how I've grown my business.
Wow.
If a client isn't comfortable paying me a lump sum fee, let's say $10,000 to renovate their primary suite, kitchen, and powder room, then I said, okay. And I'm an intuitive. So I say, okay, why don't we start with a package of hours?
Yeah.
And inevitably, that immediately creates comfort, because they're not committed to this huge fee. And we can build the relationship together.
Wow.
And if they want to part ways, they'll part ways.
Because yes, we know that not all these clients are a good fit for you, right? I believe that sometimes we have to say no at the beginning, just because they may be a right fit. And
right.
Part ways, they will part ways. Folks, we learned a lot about these sessions here, and Rebecca is talking about the same thing here. And thanks so much, Rebecca. Well, not all these clients are really good for you at the same time. Sometimes you have to say no. Am I right, Rebecca? What do you think? Let me ask you this. Hold on. What do you think about saying no? What do you think saying no is a big power, or what do you think? Should we
First
say
of all, it's hard
yes?
to say no, especially a lot of us who have grown up in the world. Some of us with more trauma than others, and we become people pleasers, right?
Right.
But the important thing about saying is no is that it becomes a win-win for each of us. The first thing I say, if a client hands me a picture and they say, I want this, I'll just graciously say, then I don't want to waste your money. I'm not the designer for you. You could go to Walter Smith, but working with me is a different experience. The value I bring is artistry and pushing your envelope a little bit. And if you just aren't there, and I totally get it, then I'm not the designer for you, because how could I take their money? And it has happened to me when I wasn't having the self-confidence. At the first meeting, a client showed me some pictures and said, this is what I want. And the last designer they worked with was a salesperson at Walter Smith. And that's cool. That's cool. I should have realized that I wasn't the right designer for them, because it's my natural inclination to start analyzing different options and options they've never thought about before. That's where the intellectual property comes in. And then everything I presented, they came back and said, but we said we wanted this. So obviously we weren't a good fit, right? And inevitably the engagement ceased.
Right.
They ceased the engagement. Okay, I'll say it. I was fired. But it was meant to be. And I should have identified that at the beginning when they said, and for me, it was sort of the mindset, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my mortgage next month? I better take this job. And it was such a learning experience. So that, nothing's a failure, any learning experience, no matter how painful it is, and it's experience to learn and grow. And so while, I held on to a lot of shame about that and remorse, it's priceless to be able to say to someone, I'm not for you.
This is a really good, serious, a golden nugget and a big mindset shift for our listeners if they are trying to say yes to everything else. And just like you described, Rebecca, we have a moment of saying that, letting the opportunity go, because it's not an opportunity for you folks. It's going to be waste of time sometimes, and you will be struggling to deliver. And just like Rebecca said, well, what I understand is just try to take it easy and do not say yes to everyone in your.
It's a tough skill,
Yeah.
especially when you could really use the money.
Right.
And I've been there, and so it's a trade-off. But I can tell you, and this is what I've recently experienced in my career, is having internally truly a sense of self-worth and value. It's almost a metaphysical, spiritual occurrence where automatically you're putting out that vibration and it's going to come back to you. So even though you said no to that door that closed, and that door closed, it's a metaphysical thing. And sorry, I can't be more articulate about it now. One day I'm going to give a TEDx talk on it and growing a design business through metaphysics. But it's happening to me now. I raised my rate 50% a few weeks ago, and I've already brought in 4 new projects without batting an eyelash that I adore. And I'm creative, and my clients are amazing. So that's a whole nother topic, Dennis, but I can say that if you're getting that bad feeling, anything, say no. It's not worth it.
Thanks so much.
Because another opportunity is right around the corner.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's going to just take this opportunity and slip through your fingers. And thank you so much for sharing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope it was like, folks, it's going well for you when you're tuning in here. That, folks, I believe you're enjoying the conversation as much as I am. So I have another interesting question for Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
Well, AI, it's just a lot of buzz here and there. And since ChatGPT, Gemini, right now Elon is playing a Grok game, so many different things. But I'm sure that they have a reflection in the design area.
Yeah.
How do you see it's fitting into design, interior design work? Or how do you utilize AI today in your business? Or how do you just, maybe in your personal life, it's also something as use case. How do you play this game?
Well, the number one thing I would say, because when, I don't know, it was probably 5-10 years ago in our industry, they were saying that robots were going to be on construction sites and everyone was getting scared, So the number one thing I was going to say is, see the good in it, not the evil. Okay. Because that's what's happening in my life, is I'm embracing it. And yes, it is so much. And there are experts in our industry to speak about this. The way I've been utilizing it is slowly but surely. I can say, number one, I've been using it in my marketing. Not that I'm generating articles from AI, but you can take an article that you've written and have AI go through it and catch the SEO keywords and put in SEO keywords, and that's perfectly legit. And of course, you want the article to be in your voice and to represent your brand. So I've been using it a little bit in marketing. Of course, I use ChatGPT, not as much as a lot of my friends, but I'm slowly but surely, I'm in a B&I meeting and it's like, what's a B&I ask for an interior designer if I'm sleepy in the morning? You know what I mean? But and then I just embellish it. But in terms of design, yes, you can literally type in, let's say I meet a client and they tell me that they kind of want that Ralph Lauren feel with lots of textures and color. I literally could put into ChatGPT those words and I can get these mood boards. They'll create these mood boards. And then some designers a few years ago, I think now, everyone's just embracing it in our industry, would say, yeah, but we're the designers. No, those are just the mood boards. And it's fast, easy visuals. And I, just speaking about this, I'm getting inspired. I want to go, I'm going to try that for a project I'm working on now. So thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, there we go.
Because I said to him, I'm going to put together some inspiration boards so we can design design a design style for you. So, gosh, there's so much more. And I have friends who, architects who are doing so many innovative things, but I can say that AI is fantastic for our industry.
Well, thank you so much, because you just also talk about something that the next question that I'm going to about.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you how you play the marketing game, because marketing is, we
Mhm.
know the value in it. And I know, folks, you're here today and you're not like decades of experience, just like Rebecca in the area. So Rebecca might be that one of these like really known designers in the area. If you're really early stages in your careers, you may not be like a person who is there for many, many decades. There will be, of course, there will be a difference, and the marketing things might be different. But Rebecca, in your world, I would like to ask you the marketing struggles that you might have, because, and also how you would like to tackle those. What do you think is just like the biggest marketing challenge, and just, I would say, a moving target maybe? And then how do you tackle those challenges?
I'd say the biggest challenge is that it is a moving target and it changes, and the algorithms, and all of a sudden Instagram is announcing don't have hashtags, and then Instagram is saying have hashtags, and then your audience wants you to see you on it on Instagram, but no, LinkedIn, because they're the affluent. And so I can say that the biggest challenge is, and I think I've figured it out for myself, but the biggest challenge is figuring out what works for you. And yes, if it social media is so great for brand exposure. And in 12 years ago, I was like, I called myself the social media queen. I was doing video marketing when no one else was. I have some of those videos on my website that still, get me business because people know me when I walk in the door. But then I got hacked in 2020 and I had to start over. And then this leads to the next part of your question, where how do you deal with those challenges? You have to really, really hone in on what your niche is and who you are and how you want to be heard and your messaging. And I say do that first instead of just shooting from the hip, which I was doing for a while and just spinning my wheels. And it's not about all the likes. And that's what I was shooting for 12 years ago when I didn't feel as good about myself. It's not about the likes. It's about the ROIs. Are you getting business from it? Now, there are a lot of designers, and I have friends who do get business off of Instagram. That's their niche, and that's their talent. And I get it. And I'm so happy for them. And the way I've grown my business though is relationship building. And it doesn't mean that I'm not thinking, okay, how can I massage social media and everything? So what I did, my strategy this year is, interviewing so many marketing agencies, because I have invested thousands and thousands and thousands in the past of dollars into PR agencies and marketing strategy agencies. Find the one, well, when you're ready, work with an agency that will adapt to your business and what your budget is. And right now, I'm just interviewing a ton of marketing agencies for when I do have that little extra money to invest in digital marketing and really come up with a targeted niche campaign. And if I don't come up with it, I'm not going to do anything else. It's just, I'm being stubborn right now. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Am I making sense, Dennis?
Yeah, of course. Amazing.
You know,
You're talking about
it's really
a very important thing. Yeah, that's right. Marketing agencies, especially. Well, Rebecca, I don't want to cut you off here, but
no. Go ahead.
I want you to continue. But folks, there are a couple of things that you need to like really automate in your business. You have to automate your lead flow. You have to automate your operations, and you have to automate your hiring, and you'll be working on your business. This is why Rebecca is talking about hiring an agency. Maybe most of you guys among our listeners, Rebecca, unfortunately, they got some bad experiences with the people. I really respect everybody's work, but sometimes people are working there's mama's basement while they're offering them millions. So, there is a really big like selling the dreams type of things when it comes to marketing, because it's just like, oh my God, I can grow my business millions and millions in 1 year. Sometimes it's not real, but they get to that idea. But playing the game, just like you said, interviewing people, understanding what they offer.
Yes. And figuring out who you are. That's the most important thing, is who are you and how do you want to set yourself apart? And this year has been a huge year of personal and professional growth for me, in terms of I've really honed in my messaging, and when you do that, and you really realize why you're doing what you're doing, all of a sudden new ideas come to you on how to reach people, or new ideas, new goals come to you. I have a new goal now that I'm almost afraid to put it out into the universe, but my dream is, and it's funny, people are going to laugh at me, but especially my colleagues, because for years I used to say, oh, I'm a dinosaur, but that was just a limiting belief. My dream now is to take all this technology that's available to us, right? And, I'm all about fostering mental health. I'm a huge mental health awareness advocate, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health and wealth. There's such a thing. I never thought of it that way. But I want to learn about technology that can take that to another level, whether it's the kind of air we breathe in our homes, whether, yes, I advise people to get plants for their homes, but I want to create healing homes. That's what I want to do. I want to market a healing home.
Wow.
You're the first to hear it publicly, Dennis.
And at the same time, 15,000 people heard about it. So yeah, this is good.
Well, but what I'm saying is, and there's no way through all this marketing and how to play the game of marketing, if I didn't look inside and really say, what do I really want to do? Now I know who I need to start reaching out to. And then it's really like, it's like law of attraction. Everything the universe just starts sending you your cues.
Since it's a really interesting idea, thank you so much for sharing, folks. You see, these things happening at our show. This is really great. This is great. And you see the commitment level of our speakers here, how they are open, how they are really sharing, because we know world-class people share, and they are here sharing with you. So thank you so much for this, Rebecca. Well, folks, I'm not letting Rebecca go. So I have one more question for her, but I'm sure we had already had an amazing session up until this time. So thanks so much for staying with us with this session. Either you're listening or watching. This is an amazing session. I'm really enjoying every minute of it, every second of it. Well,
okay.
Rebecca, here's my last question for you today. For our fellow designers and remodelers or anybody who's trying to really start and scale their own business, the early years, they can feel really overwhelming. And for those who are really struggling or feeling really overwhelmed, what's one piece of advice you would give to that person who is trying to build a design or remodeling firm today?
Build your community. Build your community, your support network. And oftentimes I'll get approached by other designers and say, I'm so alone. I'm in the studio. And I'm like, call me if you need a resource. Network and just befriend other designers. Even just networking, it doesn't have to be in your industry, Chamber of Commerce or moms groups on Facebook, or I went to a coffee in Morton Grove and I met another designer, happened to be, and now I'm referring her business and we support each other. I think the strongest thing I would advise is build your network and don't be afraid to ask for help and ask questions. And I mean it when I say it. If anyone out there is listening to me, shoot me an email. And if I can connect you to anyone, if you have any questions, if I can connect you to any resources, because I just want to give back, because that's how I've grown as a businesswoman.
This is such a big generosity. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Well, all the things you shared today. I was going to ask you what's the best way to get back if there's someone as a follow-up question. You said it's your website and they can send you an email from that, or is it?
Yeah. There's a contact form on there, or my email is rebecca@gogodesigngroup.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I believe, Dennis, that's how you found me.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And Rebecca, thank you. Well, because the things that you've shared today, I'm sure it's going to be like giving a big, if we can create some shifts for you guys, that's the most important thing here. And Rebecca,
oh my gosh, I love that word, shift.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I can't thank you enough for sharing all your knowledge and experience today with us. Well, folks, that was another episode of Remodeling Success Podcast. How cool and amazing episode it was, right? And yes, we will be continuing, folks. This is pretty much like sums up the things that we discussed today. We're going to see you next time. Goodbye.
If you would like to generate more leads, please visit rtamarketing.com to get a copy of the book, Remodel Your Digital Marketing, an integrated online marketing guide for kitchen and bath remodelers. This has been another episode of the Remodeler Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.